got that book, huh? I'm going to get a couple of his books, too.
Yeah, I did. I thought that about it.
All right. We're going to get started here in just a moment. So if we can, Matt, if you're out there and you want to tell everybody to start making their way back inside, that'd be great. How was lunch? Everybody get some food? Everybody got some food? Good. Everybody get a cookie? Did everybody get a cookie? Dude, I did. I ate them all. I ate every single cookie. Those are good, man. I'm into cookies. I love cookies. All right, so we're going to kick off this next session. It's 1:03, so we're going to get started. I'd like to introduce our next speaker. Is going to be Ryan Schinneller, Associate Pastor Ryan Schinneller of Grace Church of Avondale fame. Ryan, I've known Ryan for many years. We were at Christ Redeemer Church in Ponte Vedra for a long time together, where he was the faithful servant media specialist there for a long time. Then he came over here, was on staff doing media, and sort of, and as his role is sort of morphed into more of a sort of a senior pastoral role. He's obviously diversified his service a little bit here at the church, but still one of the top video media guys that I know. And he's going to be here to talk to us about marketing God's way. And Ryan Schinneller, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Amen. All right, thank you. And I know, I'm glad that you said that I'm one of the media guys, and I appreciate that. Because some people might be like, well, why is a pastor up here speaking that business God's way? Maybe he's got the God's way part, but has he got the business part right? That's a legitimate question. And the truth is, I own a business. I own a business called Image Media Resource. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about it because it's going to go into this topic that I have called Marketing God's Way. And one of the things about my business is if you Google it, I don't know if you're like me. If I go to a conference and I see speakers, I Google them. If I go to a business thing, I'm going to Google their business. I just want to find out, what do they do? What are they about? How big are they? What are they? If you Google my business, what you'll find is it almost doesn't exist. There's almost no online presence. I have no social media accounts. I do everything wrong that they will tell you, and everything wrong that I will tell you to do marketing, I do wrong. My website does come up. I was amazed. I actually Googled it this morning just to find out if anything even comes up, and I did find somewhere that my website was there. I forgot that I had a website. I put that website up in 2010. I haven't updated it since then, and I never finished it when it was there. And here's why. I have to turn away business. I have more business than I can handle, and I have to give clients to other people and say, you do these jobs. I just don't have the time. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the marketing strategy that I have, because I believe my marketing strategy came completely from God, and it is completely countercultural to what everyone will tell you about marketing. For me, it has worked, and it has been great, and I know that there are some very sound biblical principles as to why I believe that this marketing strategy works. So there are two parts of it. The first part is called generosity as a marketing strategy, and the second part of it is called authentic advertising. So I'm going to start off with generosity, and I want to tell you what I do. So first of all, what I do is I make videos for companies to help promote the companies. I do marketing videos for them for things like going out on Facebook, for your homepage on your website, I do internal marketing. For instance, I do videos for Johnson & Johnson where they want to advertise to their employees things that the company can do. So it's like internal marketing that goes on their system. They have this whole intranet work system that the employees can get on and watch stuff. I do a lot of what I call like make a company look good style videos. So CSX did a thing where they went to schools and helped fix up their playgrounds so that kids could have a nicer place to play. And, we film that, we make that, CSX just looks, awesome coming out of it, something like that. So I do a lot of videos like that, and here's what I do. For every video that I make for a client, I give away another video. And I go to a ministry or I go to an organization that I believe in. I go to someone that I believe in. I'm not talking about like, don't come to me and say, hey, can I get one of your free videos? I don't do it that way. These are people that I target. And I say, I like what you're doing. So I've gone to Rethreaded. Is anyone familiar with Rethreaded ministries that take women out of the sex trade organization and give them skills? I've given them videos. Go to Nations, a missions organization, I've given them videos. I've given videos to just countless numbers of churches and ministries and people that I believe in. And it doesn't always have to be a ministry or things. I know like at one point, not a video, but we actually have Jesse Lane back here with J Lane Construction. And when he was first getting into business, I helped him with a couple things. And I gave him some things. And then he started getting where he's like, I don't want you just to give me stuff. you need to. And so he would sometimes pay me, and sometimes he would be like, what are you charging for that? And I'm like, yeah, for you, I don't want to. And he'd be like, no, come on, man. Got to. So, it's not always a video. Sometimes it's something else, because I do have a background in graphic design as well. But this is what has happened in this type of marketing. When I would go to, I'll use Rethreaded as an example. I gave them a free video. I went to them and said, hey, I like what you guys are doing. I think that you could use a video here that would help you better in your area. So I want to just give you this free video. And of course, they're hesitant. Like, why? What are you going to do? I said, don't worry, you'll get to see it before it goes public. And if you don't like it, you don't have to use it, but I'm going to do it. So I do it. What happens from that is then they come back to me and hired me for 3 additional videos, which I then gave them at 50% discount just simply because they were a ministry I believed in, which then generated more work. The business principle here is you reap what you sow. That is straight from the Bible. There's an actual law that is a biblical law that comes from God that is called the law of seed time and harvest. I hate the name of that. That sounds so like something a pastor would say. Like you get out a preacher says seed time and harvest. Like that's not a business term, right? But it's not even like a regular person term. That's strictly preacher terms. But it's true. It's a law that can't be broken. There are some principles in the Bible that can be broken. Like God has said, if you'll do these things, then I'll do these things. And it's contingent on what we do. But there are other laws that exist that simply can't be broken. There are laws like gravity. I don't care who you are, you can't break it. You can work with it. You can create things like lift and thrust to help you work with gravity. But understand that lift and thrust doesn't work without gravity. You're using it to work. Well, this is a law that God has said is put in motion, that if you give, it will be given back to you. And it will be given back to you in measure. So my philosophy in marketing is generosity, to give. Now, of course, I also give financially. So my business tithes to our local church, which happens to be my church. So I don't know if that's sort of anyways, we do that. And so my business, actually, we tithe at 20% because God has spoken to us and said, I want you to give above and beyond. So we do that. We also give away, for every video we make, we give away another video. And then on top of that, we give away in other areas. So we're giving away in finance, we're giving away in our product, and then I give away in my time. And I do mentorships, and I do things where I just speak into people's lives, and I help them. I do things like this, where we come up and speak at a conference. And so I enjoy doing those things and being able to give of myself. And it has resulted in a business that I honestly have too much of, and I have to keep turning away people from it. And I will tell you right now, from 2008, which is the day I started my business, to now, I have spent in grand total 0 cents in advertising. I have not spent 1 penny. Now, I am not going to tell you, and I'm not going to stand here and tell you to cut your advertising budget. Eliminate it and just stop advertising. That's not good advice. That's bad advice. Don't do that. First of all, that would end up somehow putting me out of business because people hire me for advertising. Right? So don't do that. That is not what I'm saying. But what I am going to say is that's a model God has given to me. And he's given it to me in kind of an extreme way. And has said that is your marketing strategy, 100%. But what I'm going to do in excess, I'm going to ask you to take a look at, and if you're not doing it now, I'm going to ask you to start it in moderation. Because I think you're going to find that it will bless you in ways that you could not expect. And it doesn't have to be money. I will go ahead and throw it out there and just say, throw money on the table, that if your business isn't tithing, tithe out of your business. I'm going to throw that out there and just say it. Not 20% like I do, 10%. Do the biblical thing. I believe that it's God's money. We need to be faithful with our first fruits. We need to throw that out there. But I want to tell you that look for opportunities to be generous beyond your finances. Now, not everyone can do what I do and say, okay, I make a video, I give a video. Jesse builds a business, constructs a house, and give away a house. Can't do that. That's not a reasonable thing. What I do know about Jesse is he's taken other people that get into the business and he's mentored them. He's poured into their lives. He has given of his time to help someone who is not going to put anything back into his business. That's beautiful. That's awesome to see that. So you have to start saying creatively, what can I do to make it so that my business is known as a generous business? And this is going to be my tie-in to my next topic, which is authentic advertising. One of the things that you can do, so I'll give you a good example of this, and then I'll try to summarize it, but I'm working with an insurance company right now called the Insurance Place of Orange Park. And they hired me to come out and make a series of videos, and they presented some video ideas to me, and I looked at them and I said, let me just tell you something I'd like to throw into the mix. And we can take another one of these videos out because I don't like it. and we want to do this. And they said, yeah, let's go ahead and try this. And one of the things I said is, let's make a video where we don't even talk about you as a company. At the end, we'll put your name on the screen down somewhere small. And I want you just to explain to people who are going to shop for insurance, whether they're shopping for insurance for you or for anyone else, or at any other insurance company, what are the things and the questions and the flags that they need to ask and look for when buying insurance to make sure that they're getting a good deal, that they're not getting ripped off? What is the advice that you would give to someone? If you were to sit down with your best friend who said, hey, I can't come to you for business, but I have to go to someone else, and you say, listen, because I know the industry, make sure you do these things. Make sure you ask these questions. Can we put that on a video and get that out there? And it doesn't have to be anything to turn people back into your business. You're going to help people in the industry no matter where they're going. And those kind of videos I have found actually end up bringing more business in when you're just trying to get information out to people to help them in your industry. What are things that you can do to help other people succeed? Information these days is almost as valuable as money, if not sometimes more valuable than money. And so being able to teach and mentor people, being able to put information out about your industry that would help people even if they go to your competition is awesome, is fantastic. So what do I mean by authenticity in marketing or in advertising? I would say it's this. After someone has seen a piece of advertising material from you, whether it's a video, and I get stuck mostly on video. There's probably a reason for that because I'm a video producer. I get stuck in that mindset. But whether it's any type of advertising, that if people have seen your advertising and then they come to your business and they meet you, and this is especially important if you're a small to medium business where they're actually going to interact with you, they need to feel like they've already met you, that they're not surprised by who you are after seeing your advertising. If after seeing your marketing campaign, they meet you face to face and go, you are nothing like what I expected, something went wrong. There's a disconnect. And this is why I call this marketing God's way, because when we market ourselves as believers in the business world, people need to see that aspect of our lives. No, I'm not saying that every time that you post on Facebook or every time that you throw an Instagram picture up or every time that you create a flyer that you're, writing, Jesus is our inspiration and this is what we do. What I'm saying is how you are in real life. In real life, if you're a believer and you're allowing the light of the Holy Spirit to shine through your life, then as a business owner, when you're creating advertisement, how is that light going to shine through into your advertising and into your marketing? Like I'm saying, don't be afraid of it. Don't shy away from that. Let it be out there. And I will tell you even more things like if you are a slightly goofy person, let that come through in your advertising. If you are a dead straight serious person, let that come through in your advertising. Why? Because I believe, just like Sarah said, that all men and women were created in the image of God and were created by God the way that you are. So if he gave you that personality, then he wants you to use that personality. And he says, this is the best version of you that there can be. Don't change who you are in your marketing. Don't go, hey, I like to crack jokes and I like to be, kind of goofy and stuff around my friends and that, but when I get into my, my marketing, then I have to be straight-laced, uptight, and do this. Don't let people tell you to present a different face than what you are. Quite honestly, most people here, I see a lot of young faces out here, and then I see a few others that are more like myself, and that's all right. But if you are over 35, I have noticed this. I don't know why 35 is this magic age. It's probably more like 37 now because I think people have been saying that for a couple of years. But there's somewhere there's this dividing line. And what happens is people above that age, they come to me for a video, and what they want is something that looks super polished, super professional, crazy production value. Can we get a overhead drone shot of the building and then have a jib come up and do a flyover, and then we'll have a professional actor that'll be on there and they'll read with professionalism. And I say, or what if I went into your office and we had you talk to us like we're real people? And they're like, no, we need to have this standard of professionalism. And what I'm going to tell you is that people aren't responding to that anymore. People don't want overproduced marketing. They don't want, what they do want is something that is well produced, like your audio needs to be good on a video, your picture, like don't present something that's out of focus and you can barely understand what they're saying. Not good. You might still have to hire a professional to make the video, but it needs to be authentic. It needs to look like who you are. It needs to look like people are seeing a snapshot into your life. Because what I have found in marketing is people are more interested now, with the exception of two things, and I'll tell you what those two are in just a minute. People are more interested in who they're doing business with than they are interested in what they're getting from that business. And that's just the facts. That's the way people are. They want to know who I'm doing business with. I want to know who you are before I want to do business with you, and that's more important to me than the product. The exceptions to that are Walmart and Amazon. People will do business with them and never know anybody, and they don't even, I don't have to stay, I can just shop at Amazon all day from my bed, whatever, and that's great. But when it comes down to anything else, they come down to, really, when it comes down to it, I want to know who I'm doing business with. And so if your marketing can reflect your personality and it can reflect who you are, then you've already created a connection with them. If they feel like they know you by the time they come into your business, then they're more likely to buy into your business. But if they watched your marketing and they come in and you are nothing like your marketing, then there's a disconnect there. And I think that's another principle of God, because he created us as we are. He said, I made you, I formed you. I gave you your desires, I gave you your passions, I gave you your personality, I gave you all of this stuff. And I didn't give it to you so that you could act like someone else. I gave it to you so you could be yourself. And so that's a principle. So then when I couple that with the principles of being generous in this business, and my generosity begins to be known, and people go, wow, that, they really gave. Now, this works really well on, small businesses, 1 to 15 employees, and works really good on medium businesses, your 15 to 150. It works pretty well when you get into things like Johnson & Johnson size, CSX size, and I've got them to do a couple of things where they've given back to the community in that. But when you start getting up into businesses of that size, being generous has to really be led by the Spirit. And the problem is most major companies are not being led by the Spirit. I don't mean that, that all of them aren't, but a lot aren't. And the problem with that is when people see a company being generous, then they start to question their motives. Oh, it's a scam, it's a trick. But I will tell you that doesn't happen with the businesses that I believe are represented here. I don't think we have anyone here that's got a company of over 100,000 employees right here. But like I saw recently, everyone saw the fires in Australia just recently. Did anyone see the news article on Amazon? Jeff Bezos donated 1 million Aussie dollars, which is equivalent to $690,000. And he got slammed. He got lambasted because they calculated that was 5 minutes of his income. And they were like, wow, you gave up a whole 5 minutes of pay, to fight these fires. And he just got blasted for it. And I'm thinking, well, who else gave $690,000? I didn't. I don't have I wish if I just had $690,000, it'd be great. I don't have that. He gave $690,000. So I don't want to criticize him. What I'm just saying is, I know that you've probably seen the things where people get blasted for generosity. You've probably seen these news articles or these stories where people come against someone. Oh, great, Bill Gates really donated $100 million. Whoop-de-doo, because he's got $100 billion. And people do that. And that, honestly, that's birthed out of jealousy. And if you've ever looked at companies that are being generous, even if you feel like they could have done more, and you're getting that, oh, they could have done more, they should have done more, I'm going to tell you to look at your own self and find out what's your motivation coming from. Because I find that anytime that I get a critical spirit like that, it's probably being birthed out of jealousy. But what I do want to, again, I'm going to reiterate this idea of being generous. The question that I'm going to leave you, because I can't stand up here and go to every single industry and say, oh, here's how you can be generous and how you can be. Look at it and say, what can I do? What can we give back? Is there people we can help? Is there another ministry? Is there a hurting family? Are there people in our church? What can I do to be generous in my business? I'll leave you with one last example, and then I'm going to open it up to a Q&A if there are any about this. But, like I said, I'm here one of the pastors at this church. Before I was one of the associate pastors at this church. Actually, I think I'm the only associate pastor. No, Roland's the associate pastor. But I always think of him just as the missions pastor. He's associate. So anyways, before I became one of the associate pastors at this church, I was the media director for this church, which probably makes more sense. And this was about 5 years ago. There are some people that are not part of our church anymore because they've moved out of state, and I don't want to say their names, but they were here, and they also did video, and they did video work. And so I was putting together kind of an ambitious video for helping to promote this church in the community and some of the programs that they had. And I asked them, I said, hey, would you guys consider being a part of this, being a team, and we'll put our video skills and equipment, everything kind of together, and we'll build this video out. And they were like, yeah, absolutely. They said, let me get back with you. We're going to write up a plan, because I had presented the vision to them. So they came back with this plan that was a great plan. And then they said, oh, and also here's our bill for it. And I said, okay. I said, that, and that's great, and I understand that. But I said, what I was hoping is, because this is your church home and your family, that you might consider donating this, because we actually don't have. I worked as the media director here for 5 years. I had a zero budget for all 5 years to do it. But they said, oh no, we wouldn't give anything away from our business ever, not once, ever. They said, you don't do that. You can't make money if you do that. I said, oh, that's weird, because I've been doing that. At that point, I've been doing that for like 12 years, and I've made plenty of money doing that. And they were like, oh, no, that's not how this works. And I said, well, okay, I appreciate it. I know I'll be able to, do you mind if I use your plan? And they said, we can sell it to you. And I was just beside myself. I was kind of hurt. And I said, okay, it's fine. And I went ahead and I tabled that project. But my point is, I've actually talked with a couple of these guys. I talked to them about a year ago. And they're making it. And they're struggling. They're still holding true to the same principles. And they're fighting and they're doing the hustle. And they are making a living in the video industry. But they're not, it's a fight and it's a tough battle for them. And they're working on it. I feel like there's something that's holding them back, and I feel it's generosity. I feel like generosity is keeping them from being in the place where God is going to just bless their business and cause it to explode. And so that's the challenge I give to you, is look at yourself, look in your business and say, and ask yourself 2 questions. Does my marketing reflect who I am? Not just who you are, but does your marketing also reflect who you are in Christ? And then number 2, how can I, as a business, be generous? How can I be generous to my employees? How can I be generous to others? How can I even be generous and even be a blessing when it might even be a blessing to my competition? You know, there have actually been several people, I had said before it was in my last story, now here I am telling another one, so don't tell anyone I lied. But I had a guy that was shooting a wedding that I knew, and he got there at the wedding, he started filming it, he came over to me and he goes, hey, I've got myself in trouble. He said, I took on a person to film a wedding. I took on this client to film this wedding. He said, I've never actually held my own camera before. I ordered a camera off of Amazon. It came in yesterday. I don't know how to use it. And I'm up here, I just thought anybody can make a video. You just buy a camera, turn it on, and start shooting. And it's like, I now realize I'm up here doing this, and I don't want to mess this up for the bride and groom. And I ran to my car. I'm not the guy that carries their camera around with them all the time, but I had a camera with like 2 different lenses on it, not necessarily my best wedding lenses, and everything. I ran out to my car, grabbed my camera. I got his camera. I set him up to a little bit of kind of an automatic mode to be able to get stuff for someone that doesn't know anything. And then I shot and got good footage. And then I just gave that to him for the bride and groom. And so that was, basically a direct competition of mine, I suppose. And then later, he went to edit the video. He sent it to me. I gave him some notes on it and said, no, please re-edit this. He delivered it to the bride and groom. They threatened to sue him over how bad the video was. And he asked me again, I don't know what to do now. They're talking about suing my business before it even gets started. I did have to have a sit down with him to talk about his ethical way of doing business, but I went ahead and finished his edit out. Now, on that one, I did actually charge him 50% of the editing costs and was able to rescue that video, leave him with a place where he wasn't going to get sued. And I only tell you this to say, I'm not worried about helping my competition out, and I wasn't worried about making the full amount on that wedding. And I wasn't worried about my reputation. What I just wanted to do was to bless someone. But then the following side of that is sometimes that generosity in this situation had to result in a tough conversation to tell them, look, you're not ready. But if you want, come with me, shadow me on a wedding. I'm going to teach you how to do this. Now, he didn't want to do it. He absolutely was convinced that he would be able to teach himself and go, I have no idea. I haven't seen him since. And whether or not he did it, I haven't heard of his business, but gave him the opportunity to come in let me teach you some things. Let me show you how you can really do this. So those are my challenges. Is there any questions that people would want to throw out about this? Does anyone have any questions? Oh, go ahead. I know, I'm running over here with the mic.
So if you send out a video on email to people, just to try to get their attention and tell them a little bit of what you do or something like that, what's the ideal amount of time? 60 seconds, 3 minutes? How long do you think will someone watch a video? If you tell them how long it is first, but anyway.
So would this be like an initial contact type video? Like they don't know. Yeah, I try to keep particularly what I would call the initial contact videos. This is truly like exploratory. Do you want to do business with me? Let me introduce myself. I try to keep that in the 45-second range. A minute can do it. It depends, especially because I want everyone to be authentic. So some people just talk slower than others. I talk a little bit faster than a lot of people. And so my videos can tend to be 30 seconds to 45 seconds, and I can get out more information in that time than some people can in a minute. But I don't want you to change and try to, speed up who you are. So if you're a slower talker, it's okay. But yeah, I do try to keep them in the 45-second. Now, people have this idea that everyone's attention span is so low that if I put a video out that's over 2 minutes long, no one will ever watch it. Okay, and while that is true for things like I'm trying to catch people's attention on social media, I'm going to tell you, yeah, shorter the better. But if you're making videos like instructional videos or something where you've already got someone's attention, they're already potentially doing business and now they want to know the inner working. What can I expect when I come to your place of business? They'll watch a 5 or 10-minute video. They'll watch a 15-minute video if it's going to save them an hour later on down the road. So if you get into things where you're giving, hey, this is how we do it, this is the things that you can expect when you come to our place, yeah, people will watch longer videos. It just depends if you've already got a connection. And that's part of why the personal connection, the authenticness is so important, because once you've got that connection with them, they are much more willing to stick with you and be able to get deeper and deeper into what you do. All right, Matt. No. No, I was thinking, I think it's your time now.
Maybe one more question.
Who?
Quick question. How you draw the line between generosity and people taking advantage of you?
That's actually a really good question. And so one of the things I said when I give away a free video, one of the things I said is don't anyone come ask me for a free video. I choose where to give my generosity to. I don't allow people to come up and request things from me. This might sound kind of weird, but my generosity is on my terms. So I choose what I'm going to give away, and I choose to whom I'm going to give it. And if somebody comes up to me and they start making requests, I will consider it. I'll look at what you do, and are you someone that I would want to be involved with and someone that I want to give something away to? But for the most part, it's just a matter of being strong and saying I won't allow people to take advantage of me, and developing a thick skin that when someone says, hey, you gave them a free video, I want a free video too, am I able to say no? And if they go, well, then I hate you and I never want to do business with you ever again, that I can say, okay, that's fine. And I really do pray that you'll be well, and I hope that you find someone that can give you what you want. I had a guy that recently asked me, he wanted a series of 40 one-minute videos, and he wanted to pay me $200 for the entire video package. It would take me 3 days just to film it. And I had to tell him no, and he was like, I will, you're telling me no, I will smear your name all over this city unless you accept my request, and I have significant pull in this city. And I said, I wish you the best in that. I also have a reputation. I'm not sure you can defeat it. So there is a matter of just being able to be strong in that. Let me also say this. It is impossible to do what I'm talking about without one principle first. God is my provider. My job is not my provider. My position here, my pastor, your boss, whoever writes your checks, is not your provider. Your customers are not your provider. If you're married, your spouse is not your provider. You have one provider. The Bible says his name is Jehovah Jireh. I am the God who provides. If you get a revelation that God will take care of you, God will provide for you, then giving is nothing. And being able to also tell people no who are demanding from you when you know that that's not from God becomes easy, because you're now not concerned about your reputation and what will that do to my business, what will that do to my name. God is my provider. He will take care of me. So that revelation is important. I like what Bill said when he said, if you're not a Christian, you can't do upside down leadership because the weight will crush you. I could kind of say the same thing. If you don't have the revelation of God as your provider, generosity can crush you. You will lay awake at night worrying, did I do right? Did I do this? How am I going to make it? But if you understand God's your provider, then you will give away and laugh about it. No.